Hi, everyone. This is Priscilla Londoño with the Pageant Project, and I am your Miss Houston USA 2021.
Hello, everyone. Priscilla Londoño is our guest for today. Priscilla, how are you? Long time no
I
see.
I know, right? I am great. How are you?
I'm doing very, very well. Now, for those of you who weren't here for chapter the first, it was about 3 weeks ago or so. I had Priscilla on and she was giving a great interview, but there was like a massive storm or something. I
I was
saw the
like,
pictures of it afterwards. Yeah, it was terrible. I've made it through some technical issues in the past, but that was just unwatchable. And a lot of people watched anyway. So bless
I
everyone who
know. I
watched.
was surprised. I was
But
surprised.
what was happening? Was that a hurricane, a cyclone, or was that just normal Texan weather?
Honestly, right now it's pretty normal for us. We're going through a lot of weather changes. I mean, not hurricanes yet, thankfully, but definitely a lot of
Yes.
rain. So yeah, today's sunny, so we're gonna have a better podcast or interview.
Okay. Well, they do say, don't they, that everything in Texas is just bigger and better. So I guess when you have a
Always.
storm, you don't hold back, do you?
Oh no. Oh no.
So, if I'm right, Miss Texas USA, it's in less than 2 weeks. Is that correct?
Oh yes, it's coming up. I think we're 11 days out, I believe.
Right. So, the first and easiest question I have to ask is how's all the prep going? Is it all under control? Everything's smooth sailing? Or is it more like the storm that we had last time and everything's a little bit rocky? Is it somewhere in between?
Well, I would be lying if I said it hasn't been super hectic. It's a lot. It can be a little overwhelming at times, but I think I have control of everything. I feel great. I feel at peace. I'm very calm. So I'm just a calm person in general. So I'm ready. I'm ready.
I think calm is a preferable way to be than manic and all
For
over the
sure.
place. Do you ever get worried that you're calm? Or do the people around you get worried that you're a bit too calm? Do they expect that you should be panicking a little bit more?
I think people who don't know me well do question, like, "Hey, why aren't you freaking out right now?" But those who know me know that I'm just an overall very chill person, and that's when I perform at my best. When I'm just completely at peace with myself, then I do the best that I possibly can.
I think that's fair enough. Can you give us an idea as to what your prep has been like over the last few weeks or extending even before that, before our first interview? Obviously, everyone's prep is a little bit different, but what have you been doing in the lead up in terms of, I don't know if you guys can do events. I mean, Australia here is in lockdown, so we can't go anywhere. We're back in lockdown again. But what's your prep been like?
Sure. So I won Miss Houston back in April. But I was prepping way before then too, because my plan was to compete one last time at Miss Texas. I am 27 years old, so the age out is at 28, as most of you will know. But it has been a lot. I mean, I've been prepping physically. I'm really big on working out and just being physically and mentally fit. So that's just always it's always been a part of my routine is working out. And then of course we have our interview prepping, and I have my sponsor Jimmy. He's amazing and he works with girls all around the nation and international
Mm.
actually as well. So he's great, and he's just been prepping me for interview and walking coaches, and I'm a part of a academy here in Houston. So I'm not sure if people are familiar, but Miss Academy is actually directed by Crystal Stewart. So they take it pretty serious over here. So I'm prepping nonstop, probably 3 or 4 days out of the week.
Right. Yeah. Crystal Stewart obviously is a very familiar name for anyone in the pageant
Yes.
industry. I posted, you saw your story of you doing one of your workouts. I think you were holding a kettlebell. Um,
Uh-huh.
just, I can tell you're someone who loves working out, and I saw your partner as well. There was a photo of you with your partner, and can I just say I'm super jealous because it's like his six pack has six packs. So in terms of working out, I'm in lockdown. I'm in shape. The only shape I'm in is round at the moment. But in terms of working out, like how important is it to you? What sort of workouts do you enjoy? Because there's some people who do it because they have to, but then there are some people who do it because they love it and they really missed it during coronavirus. So I'm assuming you're one of the people who loves working out.
Surprisingly, no, I'm not.
No?
No, I don't love working out, but I've just been I mean, my partner really got me into it, really. He is just such a motivational and inspiring person, and seeing his journey and where it got him in life, I looked at that and I was like, "Okay, like, maybe this can help me in some type of way." Maybe in my professional life or just personally, mentally. And as soon as I took on that journey with fitness, it has transformed me into the person that I am today. I'm just so much more confident with who I am as a person. And when I go into that gym, I'm not timid or afraid to, try new things. But it does take dedication and I take it seriously. So, and I think that shows when I go on stage. I mean, people can see like, wow, this girl truly cares about her fitness journey or her physical appearance.
Where can you just give us an idea? And you said your partner really was an inspiration and motivation for you. Can you give us an idea as to where your fitness journey, where you started versus where you're at now? Very often, women are intimidated from going to the gym, and understandably so, because sometimes it's not the most welcoming place for a young woman. But can you
Mhm.
give us an idea as to where your journey began and where you're at now in terms of fitness?
Yeah, so I was in modeling. I've been a model since I was 8 years old, and when you go into the modeling industry, they put some restrictions on you or they expect you to look a
Sure.
certain way, right? And I just wasn't in that state. I felt like I was not at my best and I was in bad shape at the time. So when I met my boyfriend, actually, or my partner, he was the one who told me, he was like, "Hey, let's get into the gym. You have to start somewhere, even though this might not be your ideal situation." And he got me into the gym and we started circuit training. So that for me was key. It was really being my best in a circuit training atmosphere. And that's where I've excelled the most. Even yoga and Pilates, I think I
Mm,
find that all just things that help me physically and mentally too. I'm very big on mental health, and I believe that that's the most important part of being physically fit or working out.
yeah, 100%. You mentioned that you started modeling when you were eight, right? Not 18, eight.
Eight,
Do you
yes.
started young? Do you remember what your very first modeling gig was?
I so I was signed with an agency in Miami, Florida, and I believe my first gig it was a commercial shoot and I had to dress as a cowgirl. So the irony between that was that was
Whoa, whoa!
my
It was
impression.
Miami and Florida,
Yeah,
and then you had to dress up at 8 as a cowgirl, and
a
now you're in
little
Texas.
cowgirl, yes. So that was my impression or my like idea of Texas. I thought everyone wore cowgirl hats and rode horses to school. It was crazy, but
Have
never
you ever
assume.
worn? Have you ever dressed as a cowgirl since then in the last 20 years?
Of course, I live in Texas. We have
I have.
rodeo. I mean, we have things to dress up for. So yes, I have.
Okay. I ask because I have no idea. Because frankly, a lot of people, when they think about Australia, they think about kangaroos, for example,
Uh-huh.
and they think about everyone's in the bush, and where or throw shrimp on the barbie and things like that. And
Oh my God.
it's not like I open my door there and there's a herd of kangaroos hopping by. So that's why I ask. I don't know
Hmm.
if the cowgirl thing is I mean, for a city like Houston, which is a massive, massive city, I imagine you don't just walk down the street and see a cowgirl, though, do you? I mean, it's more
No, no,
okay.
no. We have no many different cultures here, and it's just diverse. So no, I wouldn't say you walk outside and see someone riding a horse, unless we're out in the
Okay.
country.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. It's fascinating. How when did you move? So you had the modeling gig. You said you were assigned to an agency in Miami, Florida. So were
Mhm.
you living in Texas at the time, or did you move to Texas after that?
No, so I was in between places. I was born in Hartford, Connecticut, and after I was born, we decided to move to Florida. I was raised there for a couple of years. I went to grade school there, and then we moved to Texas when I was in sixth grade. So I say that I'm a native Texan now because I've been here for what, over 15 years now. So I would
Yeah.
say so. Yeah.
And as an Australian, if you had to sell Texas in terms of a tourism destination, what are the must things to see or to try or to do? For example, I've heard of Texan barbecue as being a big
Yes.
thing, but what are the that I have to try or have to see?
Try, I would say Tex-Mex. Our Mexican food is bomb. Places to see, I would say I like Dallas, Texas for some reason. Dallas, Texas is a beautiful city. It's clean. And then I'm a Cowboys fan, so I don't know if anyone on here is into football, but the Dallas Cowboys Stadium is there. It, we have a huge, we're huge on football here in the US. So definitely, I would say Dallas, Texas. And then Houston, of course, we have rodeo, and the Houston Texans football team, and just so many things to do. I mean, there's really so that we have NASA. I mean, it's endless. The list goes on and on and on. So if you're not from Texas, come to Houston or Dallas.
Okay, maybe I misheard you, but did you say Houston has a football team and Dallas has a football team?
Yes,
Okay.
Dallas
So it's
Cowboys
obviously
and
not just
Houston
a
Texans.
state by state. Okay, so when those two, I imagine at some point they have to play,
Yes.
does it become pandemonium in Texas? Because in some countries or some states, if they could play the football, there's a massive riot afterwards, depending on who wins or loses. So, how worked up do Texans get when there's like two Texan teams playing against one another?
I will say this, if you're a Cowboys fan, you're a die-hard Cowboys fan. If you're a Houston Texans fan, you are a die-hard Texans fan. So I wouldn't say there's like huge riots or anything like that, but yeah, it's competitive. It's definitely competitive.
Right. I did get that impression because I follow Gary Vaynerchuk, who's, I don't know if you know him, but he's an American entrepreneur. And
Uh-huh.
he's a diehard, your exact words, a diehard New York Jets fan. And apparently there's another football club next to him or close to there that he could be a fan of, but those two absolutely hate one another.
Yep.
And if you say that you're a fan of one of the other ones, he literally won't talk to you. So that's how worked up you guys get. Um, just to switch back to the pageant for a sec. Um, in terms of, as you said, it's less than 2 weeks away now. Um, as you're competing, and if you're blessed enough to actually take the title and go on to represent your state, what is it that Priscilla Londoño most wants to stand for? Obviously, your state pageant is huge in comparison to other states and entire countries, even Australia, as an example. Your state pageant would be bigger than our national pageant. What is it that you feel makes you stand out? What is it that you want to represent now and moving forwards as well?
Sure. So something I stand for and stand by, and I will continue to, is just culture appreciation. I want everyone to understand that we all come from different backgrounds, right? And it's important to understand our traditions and what we've experienced and what others have experienced. So, for with my title, I just hope that everyone in, feels included, feels heard,
Mhm.
and throughout my reign, I just hope that I'm always myself. I stay true to myself. I think that's important. And when I look up to other women or males or whoever you look up to in your life, that's what I focus on. I see that they have an impact on others, that they have a voice, and that they know who they are as a person. So I hope that I have that same impact on others. Uh-oh. I think we're cutting off, Adrian.
Oh, sorry, Priscilla, I just dropped out for a second there. Can you just
That's
repeat
okay.
the second part of your answer because I dropped out?
Yeah. I just hope that I continue to make that impact on others. And I hope that when they see me, they see someone who's genuine and authentic and just someone who has a voice, really.
And I mean that's well said. Are there any? I mean, when it comes to picking an advocacy or platform, there are so many issues in modern day society that you could pick from. Are there any in particular that resonate with you on a more personal basis, or ones that you advocate for as sort of the one that's most important to you?
Sure. So I grew up with, I wouldn't say a broken family. My parents were high school sweethearts and they separated for quite a bit of time. And my father went through a hard situation with just, not being with his family and turning to
Mm,
certain substances, and it just became an issue with us. So I think I want to talk, or well, I know I want to talk to children who come from broken families and who don't necessarily have the right contacts or, resources to get help. And just, I want to help other children get through those hard stages in their life. So if there's anything that I could do to, do that, then whether it's visiting rehab centers or just shelter homes of any sort, that would be my main
yeah.
focus.
Yeah, I haven't seen the latest statistics on divorce, but I know the number was around or close to 50% or something like that. I mean, it was a terrifying number. So I completely agree with you there.
Now
In
let me include my parents are back together though, so they made it work. But there's obviously other situations where kids, don't
Of
their
course,
families don't, yeah, make it through that. So
I think that's amazing that they actually did make it work. I think there's a
yes,
lot of trouble. I don't know if that's the right word, and I don't know if you agree with this, but in today's society, that when your relationship hits a rocky stage, the tendency, it's kind of like the throwaway culture. We want everything immediately. So I think there's a tendency, and you can tell me what you think on this, like when your relationship hits a rocky stage, is to just throw it away and get a new one, and then throw
right.
it away, get a new one. And you forget that the common thread between all the relationships that you've ever had is yourself. It's not the other person. So at some stage, you need to work on yourself. And, relationships are difficult. And when you need to work on
100%.
things and you need to compromise, it's not easy. So, I mean, kudos to your parents. But I mean, your thoughts on that and relationships in general?
They're really the best example that I possibly could have when it comes to relationships. My mom and my father, they worked through it. They did everything in their power to make sure that if they moved forward, that they would be in a better place. And now my father's in a great headspace. I mean, I look
Mm,
up to him in so many ways. And so, same for my mother. I mean, she's my best friend. And just seeing that example shows me that there is hope and that, even through the tough times, you need to keep pushing and you have to find, that common ground and just work through it because everything, is possible, really. Just put in
yeah,
that effort.
100%. Yeah, and your dad tackling his issues. That's, I don't know exactly how men, for example, are seen or stereotyped in Texas, but cowboys are obviously seen as very macho, and then we have the stigma that if you're a macho man, you can't talk, you can't say that you have a problem, or you
Right.
can't even admit that you have a problem, because then you have, that's seen as a sign of weakness. So that's amazing that not only your parents are together again, but that he's managed to overcome his demons from the past. Priscilla, just background. Apart from outside of the pageantry, can you give us an idea? You've mentioned modeling as an example, but can you give us an idea on a daily basis what keeps you busy in terms of work, in terms of hobbies? I mean, imagine pageantry, you put so much time into it. Maybe you don't have time for hobbies much at the moment, but outside of the pageant world, give us a bit of background as to who you are.
Whew, so I take on so much. I'm currently a marketing director. So I build websites, build campaigns for a lot of different businesses here in Houston. I help them as far as social media growth, and just focus on that. And then also at the same time, I am about to launch my own swimwear company, or swimwear line. So it's a lot of work. It's meeting with manufacturers, traveling, really finding my niche and like my who I want my demographic to be and what I aim to do with my swimwear line. So, or who I cater my swim line to. So
Mhm.
it's a lot of work, but that's just part of who I am. I like to take on everything that I possibly can at once.
I'm remembering from our previous interview, our first interview, that we did start talking about your swimwear line, but literally every time you were about to tell me about it, you cut out. So I'm going to ask you about that again. So,
Go
because I
ahead.
actually really wanted to find out about that. Just to backtrack for a second, do you actually design websites yourself for businesses,
Yes.
or are you more looking at, right? So just from a nerd point of view, as a web designer myself, what's your go-to platform for designing websites? I always have to ask.
Shopify, my number one.
Ah,
Yes, I only use Shopify. I've used Wix before, but I think that it's a little too basic for me. But Shopify is just how I design everything, and it's my main like selling factor too. You can sell a lot of products through Shopify. So,
yeah. I think Shopify is definitely the go-to platform if you're planning on selling something. I think a lot of
mhm.
the times people use Wix because I believe it has a free plan, and you see the credit on Wix or buy Wix at the bottom, but it's not going to be nearly as good for selling things. Okay, let's pick up from where we left off the first time and hope that you don't get struck by lightning or something like
Oh my
like
gosh,
that this
no.
time around. So yes, don't want to tempt fate, but your swimwear line. So obviously you hate spare time because you've decided to launch your own swimwear line. Tell us where you got the inspiration from. How's it going? When you're planning on launching the whole 9 yards?
Yeah. So me and my mother actually, we had this idea. We came up with this idea to launch our own swimwear line because I saw that there was a lot. If you look at different brands and companies, you see that they're just catering to certain body types necessarily, or if
Hmm.
you look at it in general. And I wanted something to cater to every body type and something that makes a woman feel comfortable because I know that's not the first thing that we want to put on sometimes. And some women might feel uncomfortable in a swimsuit. So, my whole idea is so I don't give away too much, but it's going to be swimwear slash shapewear. So, something that is fitting and it just keeps everything tight in the right places.
Hmm. I have heard if it with women and what they decide to wear, if it's comfortable, it doesn't look good, and if it looks good, it must be painful. So it
Mhm.
sounds like, with pageant heels is a good example. If it looks great, but yeah, don't look at the feet afterwards. It sounds like you're trying to hopefully successfully combine the two, something that looks
Right.
phenomenal, but also is
Feels
comfortable
great.
as well.
Mhm. Yes,
That sounds good.
100%.
Right. So without giving too much away, and if you can't tell us, don't tell us, but when are you planning roughly on launching?
We plan on launching next summer. Now, I don't know what's going to happen, but
Yeah,
that is our
yeah,
plan. There's a lot going on in this world right now, but the plan is to launch next summer, by next summer, if not sooner.
right. Yeah, no. When you say plan, it's funny because if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. Were
Mhm.
you initially planning on launching previously, and then obviously 20? Okay, right.
Yes,
Yeah,
everything got delayed.
yeah. 20. How just on a COVID slash personal note, how badly did 2020 and the whole virus? I don't even want to mention it by name because, as I said,
Mhm.
we're in lockdown at the moment. The army's gotten involved. But how badly did that affect you? Because some people it was horrific, and some people it was kind of okay, not great, but okay. Where were you on that spectrum?
On behalf of my family, I didn't lose anyone due to COVID, thankfully.
Yeah,
It's still a possibility, but hopefully I'm praying that my family remains healthy. The lockdown was tough on me financially, really. I had to figure
sure.
out ways to make money, without having to go to my 9 to 5 job. And that's where I started building websites for other companies and just finding my niche there. But yeah, I would say COVID for me was just, it hit me financially the most. It was hard. I had to really just figure out how to live my life,
Yeah,
you know, in the best way that I possibly could.
yeah. I mean, finances affect everything else as well. I think a lot of people
Yes,
found it. You mentioned mental health and the physical side of it as well. And obviously, when you have to stay at home and you don't have the finances, the first kind of things that suffer are your physical health, and then as a
right.
consequence, your mental health as well. But I'm glad to hear that you didn't lose anyone directly in the family. That's certainly a good thing to hear. So, Priscilla, after the pageant in 11 days or
Hmm.
thereabouts, what are your plans for? I'm going to say world domination, but what what are your plans for the future after the pageant, whether you take the title or not?
For me, it's extremely important to have stuff outside of pageantry
Mm.
because there is, I mean, I do have a life outside of pageantry, and
Hmm.
that's really succeeding with my swimsuit line and seeing what else I can do in the modeling industry as well. I'm getting older, so I don't know what's going to happen for me, but hopefully, have a family of my own and get married and just live life. I'm all about living life to my fullest and doing everything that I possibly can. So,
Can I just ask you? I mean, you're hitting the ripe old age of 28. I mean,
yes.
in the pageant world, that's the number for whatever reason. And then obviously you do a lot of modeling as well. How have you found sort of the ageism in modeling versus, let's say, you've got the same thing happening in pageants where you'll age out of pageants in the next year, as you already said. But in terms of modeling, has the industry been moving forwards in terms of hiring people who are, let's say, older versus, oh, you have to be 18 and flawless, otherwise we won't work with you? Oh, Priscilla, I've just lost the audio there. Have your AirPods dropped out? Mm, Oh, no, it might be the oh, yeah, we got you back, I
There we
think.
go. Okay,
Okay,
I'm
that's
sorry. Can you repeat that question?
yes, yeah. I thought, oh my god, here we go. Storms hit or the lightning struck. Just in terms of as you're turning 28, and in terms of pageantry, you age out at that age from a lot of the Miss pageants. In terms of modeling, though, has that industry been progressing? Obviously, you've been in it for about 20 years now. Have you
Mhm.
found that it's been progressing in terms of it's hiring people? It's more willing to hire people who are, let's say, older in inverted commas, and not necessarily have to be 18 and absolutely flawless for us to hire you.
Oh, yeah. I'm in the commercial print industry. So, for commercial print, they hire all ages. I mean, it's opportunities are really endless in the modeling industry. I think the pageant world, it's a little more,
Yeah,
strict on age-wise
collective.
and all of that.
Yeah.
But modeling, I wouldn't say so. It's forever evolving, I would say.
And I have to ask you this because there's a lot of people who view modeling as being a very similar to pageantry, I guess, very shallow industry. It's all about looks. You obviously smart enough, dedicated enough, hungry enough to put your focus on wherever you want. For yourself, what is modeling? Why do you keep working so hard at it? What does it give back to you? Because I assume you find it rewarding, otherwise you would stop doing it.
Yeah. The main thing for me, it's provided income for me and my family. We were, we weren't so privileged and we didn't have everything in
Mm.
life. So it helped my family financially. I was able to provide in times that they maybe didn't have the money at the time. So it's really just provided a roof over my head and food under the or over the table. So I look at it as something that, it's not just being a pretty face, but it's
Mm.
helped me create a living for myself.
And if there's young girls watching this, or young men, but young girls watching this and they want to get started in the modeling industry, any quick pieces of advice you would give to them?
Don't let anyone shape you into someone that you are not. Continue to be who you are and always know that you are enough.
Perfect. Okay, we've almost made it to the end this time, and we haven't been hit by a tsunami or something like that. Just before we get to the final 10 questions, which I don't think we got to last time, but in terms of shout outs, any shout outs that you want to give to sponsors, to family, to friends, etc.?
Yes. I want to shout out my family, most importantly, my mom, my father, my sister, and also all of my sponsors here in Houston, Team Houston, like we call it, at Miss Academy, and just the Miss Houston pageant. They have all shaped me into the woman that I am today, and I appreciate them so much.
Perfect. Okay, let's get to the final 10. Did we make it to the final 10 last time?
I think we kind of did, but not really. So let's do it again.
Okay. If we did, I don't remember any of your answers because the way
Yeah,
it worked
me.
last time, every time you answered, you cut out. All right, let's try this again. We'll tempt fate. No, so it's 10 random questions, um, just whatever comes to your mind. So, number one,
Okay.
what is your favorite word?
Confidence. I love confidence because that's what I strive to be every single day. And I preach that to everyone. Have confidence because with confidence comes opportunities.
Nice. Number two, what is your least favorite word?
Hmm. Assumption. I despise when people have assumptions about people. I think it's important to really hear people out. You never know what's going on behind closed doors. So don't make assumptions.
100%. Question three, in life, what gets you excited?
Hmm. My dogs. I love my dogs. They're the best thing that have ever happened to me, and they're my two little pit bulls. I love them.
Pit bulls. Oh wow! In
Yes,
terms of assumptions, I'm sure you've dealt with some
right?
assumptions and pit bulls. What are their names?
Luna and Nina.
Oh, that's lovely. Okay, pit
Adrian's
bulls.
like, oh,
How big are they? I don't know much
ooh.
about dogs.
Nina's about 70 pounds. She's a pretty big pit bull. And then my little one, Luna, she's right at 60, I would say, but she's a little chunky. She's my little chunkster.
You don't need to go to the gym to work out. Just try carrying those two around.
I know,
Can
right?
you do they jump up on you? Can you lift them up? 60
Oh
pounds.
yeah, I
Jeez.
can. Oh yeah, I can.
Wow. Okay.
Hmm.
All right. Don't make assumptions about pit bulls, people.
Yes.
Question four. So question three was what gets you excited, what turns you on. Question four is what turns you off.
Hmm. What turns me off? I would say when someone's super negative. think whenever we're really negative, it just, I don't know, that's a turn off for me.
There's been a fair bit of that over the last, shall we say, 2 years or so for some reason or
Right?
other. Yeah, let's not get started on that.
Uh,
Question 5. What sound or noise do you love?
the sound of rain. It soothes me. That's how I go to sleep at night the best. When it's raining, I even put it on my phone. I have an app that you can put on rain sounds. So it helps me sleep. You know what? Whatever works and whatever helps me sleep, I will take at this moment.
Do you tend to have difficulty like switching off and falling asleep?
Yes, yes. My mind is
What
constantly going.
Oh, I hear you. I hear you on that one. I think it's a curse. It's a curse of the entrepreneur. But what other things have you tried? Because I've not heard of rain before, but have you tried like sounds of ocean? Have you tried these newfangled
Mm,
brainwave or meditation apps?
meditation apps for sure, but never ocean sounds or anything like that. I don't know what it is about rain, but a gloomy day just helps me sleep. So that's my main
Well, I
thing.
think
You
that
should
makes
try it.
sense. If it's
Try it and you'll understand.
I was gonna say last time we had our interview, there was a lot of rain sounds, but I didn't find it particularly soothing. I have to say it was the opposite. But, I'll have to try that next time. Okay, so question 6: what is your least favorite sound, or what sound or noise do you hate?
Ooh, when people chew with their mouth open and I can hear just everything that they're eating. I hate that sound.
Yep, yep. I had another person say that, and she said it was so bad when she heard it, she actually would have to leave the room, or she'd end up just breaking
Yes.
down and bawling. So some people obviously are very. Did you ever get into the? I'm going to assume no, but the ASMR, if you know what that is, that ASMR
Oh,
craze, where people
I
literally
cannot do
listen,
that.
watch. You can't do that. The whole thing where they
No,
literally listen to chewing sounds. I don't understand it.
me neither. I'm like, what is this trend? I don't get it.
I don't know. It's to each their own, right?
Right?
Question 7. If you could have any one superpower, what would you pick and why?
If I could read everyone's mind. I think that if you are able to read someone's mind, then you could possibly, I don't know, make further in your career, further in your placement, or win a crown. I don't know. Anything really. Just reading minds.
I've had a few people answer that, and my follow up question is always, "Are you sure? Are you sure you want to hear what people are thinking?" I'm not
Hey,
sure.
honestly, yeah, I do. I do. I take criticism well, so bring
Oh, okay. Well,
it.
all right. That'll make a big difference as opposed to people who take offense at every single word. Okay.
Yes.
Question 8. Always an interesting one to ask an entrepreneur. What occupation other than your own would you most like to attempt?
Nursing. When I was a freshman in college, that was my major at the time. So I've always, saw how they give back and just how wonderful nurses can be in other people's lives and save lives too. So that was always one of my other passions of mine is nursing.
And obviously, that's an occupation that's been hugely under pressure since the
Yes.
pandemic hit. So, absolutely. Question 9. What job or occupation would you definitely not like to attempt?
I would never be an attorney of any sort. I think I couldn't do it. It's too much. It's a lot of I don't know. It's not my thing. It's just not my thing. All of my friends who are attorneys, I see them and I'm like, how do you do it? How do you do it? They're under so much stress constantly. It's work overload.
You strike me as someone who would deal with stress pretty well, though.
I do, but not that kind of stress.
Okay, there's going to be a point to the stress. It can't just be pointless, needless stress 24/7.
Right.
Okay, that's fair enough. Final question. We actually made it. Thank God. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
That he is proud of me and he knows that I did everything in my power to be the best version and person that I could ever been.
Perfect. Well, Priscilla, congratulations. We made it this
Thank
time.
you, Adrian.
And you weren't
I know.
swept away by a natural disaster or anything like that. It's been a
Look at
ride.
us.
Yeah, we finally made it. I love what you're wearing as well, just on another note. Not that I know anything about fashion, but it's a very, very striking color. And I like the cut
Oh,
of it.
thank you. Thank you. It's Zara. I think we all have Zara, right?
Ah, yes. I might not know anything about fashion, but even I know what Zara is. Priscilla, look, best of luck with the pageant
Thank you
coming
so
up.
much,
Not that you
Adrian.
need it, but obviously you've worked very hard for it. You'd be a very deserving title holder. I'll keep you on the line for just a second whilst I hang up with the audience. Just got a final comment here from Pedro, who said, "So amazing, this princess."
Aw.
So there you go.
Thank you.
Guys, thanks to everyone for watching, both in the first interview and for this one, round 2. And we will speak to you next time. Bye for now. Thanks for watching. Just a reminder to you entrepreneurial types to come and join us, our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/the pageant boss. I'll see you inside and see you in the next episode.